Hi, this is Kate from Izzalicious Designs, and today I'm going to show you how to make a little sombrero. And I appreciate that I'm a little late in the year, but it doesn't matter. We're going to get one done and then you'll have it ready for next year. So the colours that we're going to need are going to be yellow, green, white, red, blue. And we're going to start with the actual bit that goes in the middle here. So using a single loom, you're also going to need the base removal tool from your Rainbow Loom hook. We're going to take off this big base and put it to one side. We will need that later. Pop out the middle column, and we're just going to use 4 pegs. Now we're going to start with yellow. You're going to take single bands and you're going to put a twist in them. So put it one side on the peg, twist it, and then put the other side on. And we're only doing a small area, just using 4 pegs. So if you are using your monster tail, you're only going to use 4 pegs. So we do a first row of yellow, sorry, having a little complete meltdown there. Then we place our white bands, and we're not twisting those, you just place those over like so. So you only need 4 white bands for this. Then we're going to place 4 green bands. And then we're going to turn our loom so that the open part is facing towards us, and we're going to hook and grab the 2 bottom bands and lift them up and over. Like that. Push them all down. We're now going to do 4 red bands. And I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea whether I'm doing right colour combinations or anything. I literally just looked at a picture on Google and thought that looks pretty. So now we grab the white bands. So you can do any kind of pattern that you like. Now we're going to do a row of yellow, and then on top of this one, after we've looped it up, we'll do another row of yellow. Here's our first row of yellow, loop the green up, push down, and our last row of yellow. Oops, flick it at yourself. Loop up the red. And then we're going to loop up the 2 bottom yellows so that we're only left with 2 yellow bands on each peg, like that. Let's take these off our loom, and they will be held on this as a holding hook. Okay. What we are going to do, however, is these are going to be the ones that we place on the loom, these bottom loops here. Okay, these top loops, we're going to grab a single yellow band and slide these on, collect the end of your band one over the other and hold it tight and pull. Here I am saying we're keeping it on a holding hook. We're not keeping it on a holding hook, we're using our holding hook. Dig your hook through the center here and out, grab that band, and we're going to just pull that through to the middle like that, and it's just going to be secure in there. Okay, so that's going to be the top part of our hat. Let's put our loom back together because we are now, and make sure that you put the pegs facing the same way. So our loom configuration is going to be a little bit different. We are going to be moving columns across to the right, so you will need to have your base removal tool so that you can dig that down and pop the bases as you need to. We're going to be double banding, which means you take 2 bands and you place them on the peg together at the same time. And we're also going to have the columns all the same height, and the open part of the peg, or the arrow, is facing towards you. Let's pop 2 little bands here, and they're just going to sit there looking pretty for a few minutes until we're ready to use them. We're going to place 2 bands from here to here, and another 2 bands from here to here. 2 bands, and 2 bands. Now, before we can go across down here, we need to do the yellow bands to fill in the middle a little bit. So again, 2 bands. I'm trying to unfold a bit. Everything down. 2 there. Now if you see them sort of twisted on themselves a bit and you want to stop that, grab your hook and gently just move it along the inside of those bands, and it will untwist them a little bit, like so. Now at this point we're going to put 2 red bands here, and we're also going to put, we want to make sure that they go above the yellow ones, 2 here, and keeping those there, 2 there. We're also going to put an end cap on this one. I'm going to use a hook to help me. Take a single band, wrap it once and twice, and that is going to go there. We're going to do some crossover bands, which is a single band, and we're using yellow, and we're going to just stretch them out across these pegs. I need to push them down so they don't flick off like they were just about to. Okay, so we're set to loom, and we're going to loop up columns 2 and column 1, but we need to go under this end cap first and grab the top red bands, the 2 top red bands, hold that end cap in place and loop them across diagonally. Okay, so loop, oops, now you can see I got more than I bargained for there. I got a yellow band, and I don't want a yellow band, I want just the 2 red bands. There we go, like that. You have to push the crossover bands back with the back of your hook. Grab the yellow bands and we loop up. Push those crossover bands out of the way. Loop up to here. Now we're doing the red. And you do loop to here. Okay, try and make it so that the red bands are on top. Now we've tied this column here in. It's secured here and it's secured here. So we can take this one gently off the loom. And with that being off the loom, and push these down, we're going to pop this column of pegs off and move it over here, like so. Now we're going to get 2 red bands and place them here to do absolutely nothing for the time being. And the 2 that are here doing absolutely nothing are now going to do something. You're going to take them and you're going to move them across to this peg here. Now let's place yellow bands and we're also going to put 2 red bands here, and we're going to move these 2 red bands across. Okay, so they're going to be like that. Now what we're ready to do is take our little hat piece that we made, and we need to add that here and here with 2 of these 4 yellow pieces that are on the end. So I'm going to put 2 here and 2 here, but first I'm going to move my crossover bands across to column 4 like so. Okay, so count 1, 2 and 3rd and 5th is where we're putting it. Take the 2 yellow and place it there, and then poke your hook down and grab the other 2 yellow on that side and pop down. You're just going to skip that middle one here, okay? And this will go over to the next ones here, but we're not ready for that yet. Dig down, you're going to grab the 2 top red bands and loop across to the right. Okay, so they've looped to the right. We're looping up this column here, the middle one. 2 yellow bands, loop up. 2 yellow bands, loop up. I'm going to push this out the way so that you have access to loop these ones up. The bottom yellow bands. Okay, and you're going to loop up to the top here. And then these 2 bottom red bands will come up and across. Okay, now these are tied in. We can take them off the loom. Gently does it. I'm going to put my finger here to stop it from completely popping off the loom, and I'm going to make sure I push everything down. Now we're ready to turn our loom over and move these small ones over one spot to the right, like that, and like that. Then we're going to take this column of pegs off and move them across, and they're staying the same height. Okay, they have to stay the same height. You're going to get 2 red bands, and they're going to sit here looking beautiful. Grab the 2 bands that have been looking beautiful. They're going to go to work now. They're going to sit here. Let's get some yellow bands and let's lay them in their position. This is column 5. Now typically crossover bands can go between 5 and 6 columns. We're going to make it go 5 columns, and that's all. Put the yellow here, then get 2 red, place them there. Okay, we're then going to get the 2 red that were here, lift them up and pop them on there, and just make sure these are still accessible. Okay, let's stretch our crossover bands over. And it's a bit tricky here, so just lift the lid up, I guess you could call it that, and stretch those across. Now, this is the column that we add the other 2 sides of the yellow. So, dig your hook down, find the 2 yellow, and you've got 2 yellow here. and they go there. Okay, I'm just trying to push everything down so we've got space here. So now we're going to loop up this one. Dig down, you're going to find the two top red bands and loop across. Okay, now we'll find the two yellow bands and loop up, and you know we're going to have some fancy footwork here. You're going to take the hat, the top part of the hat, lift it up a bit so that you can get these two bands over that peg. Okay, they are stretchy, so it should go. If you need to, take this side off and then just flip it back. Then get these two and loop up, then you put those back. Okay, and that makes it a little easier. Go ahead and do that. You've looped the yellow in, let's loop the red. Now the red, it's always tight when you're sort of looping a crossways, so just put your hook in and wiggle it around, and that loosens up the bands a little bit. So we're going to take our loom and turn it over, and again using your base removal tool, let's get rid of this big base and move it one across to the right. Okay, we can take this off, it's nice and secured both sides. I use the back of a hook and I'm going to keep my finger here just so I don't lose anything. I'm going to ease this off the loom and make sure that doesn't pop off either, and I'm going to push everything down. I'm going to take this column off and move it across. Now that was column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we're at column 6. Okay, we're going to put two red bands here because we're going to start our descent. Okay, so put the two here, and then these two, instead of going directly across to here, are going to come down to here. Alright, let's place our yellow bands. And again, it's not going to go as far, so we'll get two red bands and we're going to place them here. Alright, we're going to take these two red bands and place them up there like that, and we're going to use new crossover bands. So take a single yellow and it goes across. Push things down if you have to make room, okay? Single yellow and it goes across. Like that. We're going to loop up this middle column. You're going to dig down and find the two red bands, loop them across. Okay, then we find the two yellow and loop up and loop up. This is securing the hat in place, so dig down and find the bottom two, loop up, loop up, loop up, and again find the two bottom yellow, red, gosh I didn't even think I was colourblind, and loop up. We're now secure to take this one off the loom. Put your thumb there so that it doesn't go AWOL while you're taking this off. This one's tricky because you do have a peg under there, so just try and ease it off like that. Okay, push things down so that they're safe on their little pegs, and let's turn it around the other way. and this is our last column. Let's take this off. And move it across. Now, because this is our last column, we don't have to put another pair on first. So we're going to just take the red and place that where we need it, and then we'll do our yellows. Okay, so it's just the two. I'm sorry, we're not doing two yellows there, we're doing two reds. I was thinking it looked a bit odd. Two reds like that, and then put our other red there. Stretch the crossover band over like that. You're not going to stretch these two, there's nowhere for it to stretch to. Okay, dig down, find the two red bands that are at the top, loop them over. You're going to dig down and find the two yellow bands, and they get looped up and looped up and looped up and looped up. And I am going to take these, this one here, dig down, find the two. It's a bit tricky, but you need to find the two bottom red bands. There we go. Wiggle, 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 and they loop down. Okay, so this is our ending point where we're actually going to use two red bands to tie things off. So I'm going to take two bands that are red. I'm going to slide my hook down this peg here and out the side. Once I've cleared all the pegs out the side here, put the two red bands on and twist my hook. So as I come back, the back side of my hook is going against these bands and it's not snagging. We need to move these bands to the outside of the peg like that, and then take the two that are closest to you up, over and off, and pull tight, and that is a little slip knot. Let's take this off the loom. And we'll pray that we have something that resembles a sombrero. Stretch it across. And here we have the makings of our sombrero. Now, one of the things that we need to do is hide these loops. So I'm going to just dig my hook under here and find the red bands, and I'm going to put them on my hook and drag them back. Okay, and I'm not going to be too worried about the delicacy of doing that. Pull that back. And one of the things that you'll notice is that the yellow of the crossover bands bleeds through, and I don't really like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do to hide it is use some blue and some white as decoration around the outside of my hat. So in order to do that, I'm going to put my hook through the two reds like this, grab the band that I want. I'm going to start with blue, place it under like that, reclaim and put one over the other, and then I go through the next two red, and the blue is still on there, and I'm going to grab a white. I'm going to pull those through like that, reclaim the end of my white, and pull the one nearest to me up, over and off, and I'm going to leave one end on and go through the next two red, just the red. Come on, Kate. Like that. So I've got the two red and my white, and now I'm going for a blue. Reclaim the blue, one over the other, and take the next two red with my blue still on there. And we're going to do this as we go around the hat as a sort of pattern, because these hats are fabulously decorated. And again, you can do whatever pattern you want. This is just what I have come up with. So put one over the other and go through the next pair of red. Still with my blue attached. One over the other. One over the other. And we're nearly at the end. And I'm going to see if I can just finish on a white, even though it's intruding onto the blue a little bit, but I think it will just look a little better. So I'm going to tie this one off. Okay, now I'm going to see if I can tie that in another knot. And you know what I'm like with knots, I'm useless. Tie it through, put that over that. Grab that little end that's trying to sneak away from me and tie. Oh, I did it. I'm getting better, guys. You're teaching me. Now, this white band, I'm going to dig my hook through all these bands here, and I'm going to grab it and I'm going to drag it back. And it's going to be hidden in the center of the hat, like that. And there, my friends, is my little sombrero. I hope you have fun making yours. Take care.